Okay, I think this is recording. All right, so what we want to do is quickly solve this one real quick. By now you should be pretty fast at this. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. My 5's cancel, so 2x drops down, equals 18. Now I divide both sides by 2 to get x is equal to 9. So hopefully by now that one's pretty simple. Okay, so now what we're going to do is instead of using numbers, it's going to be all letters, but pretty much it's exactly the same. We want to solve for x. But just like our other rules, we're going to follow it the same. So the first thing I want to get rid of is the 1 by itself, is that minus b. To get rid of a minus b, you add b. Do it to both sides. My b's cancel, so ax falls down. On the other side, I have c plus b. All right, from there, we want to get rid of a. Well, those are touching, which means multiply, so we're going to divide. What I do on one side, I do on the other. My a's cancel, so x drops down by itself. All of this will drop down. I'm going to fix this real quick. We want to put stuff in alphabetical order. So on the top, I'm going to write b plus c. On the bottom, I'll put a. Okay, so this next part, I want you to identify the similarity and differences between the problem we have with numbers and then the problem that we have with letters. This is called a literal equation. So make sure you fill that part in. All right, so let's go through some of these. So these are going to be one-step problems. We're going to try to solve for L. Well, if I want to get L by itself, I need to get rid of that, W. If I want to get W by itself, I have to get rid of L. They're touching, which means multiply, so I'm going to divide both sides by L. On the right side, L's cancel, so W drops down. I can't do anything with A divided by L, so that just drops. So that's my answer. Okay, on number 2, we're trying to get H by itself. So the only thing by the H is that B. They're touching, so to get rid of that, I'm going to divide. My B's cancel, so H falls down. On the other side, A divided by B, I can't do anything to that, so that's going to drop. Okay, solve for T. We have to get rid of the R. They're touching, which means multiply. The opposite is divide. R's cancel, so T drops down by itself. On the other side, D divided by R, I can't do anything, so it just drops. Okay, on number 4, I want T by itself. So there's 2 things I need to get rid of. I need to get rid of the P and the R. Well, all of those letters are touching, which means P times R times T. So if I want to get rid of the P and the R, I'm going to do the opposite, which is divide, and I want to get rid of my P and the R. What I do on one side, I do the same on the other. This P on top and the P on bottom cancels. The R on top and bottom cancels, so T can fall down all by itself. I can't do anything with I over PR, so that just drops down. So please remember to pause and rewind as many times as you need to. Okay, moving on. On 5, it wants H, which means I need to get rid of that L and that W. Since they're all touching, it's all multiplication. So to get rid of it, I'm going to divide, and divide by what we don't want, which is the L and the W. Do the same thing on the other side. So my L on top and bottom cancels along with the W, so H falls down all by itself. I can't do anything on this side, so everything's going to drop down. On 6, we want R by itself. Okay, so we want R by itself. So the first thing I need to get rid of is that pi. So the opposite of multiply is divide. My pi's cancel, so R squared falls down. A over pi, there's nothing I could do there, so that's going to drop down. Okay, R is not by itself, it has the square on it. So we probably won't do this very often, but I do want to show you an example of what this would be like. The opposite of a square is a square root. This is the square root symbol. If I square root one side, I have to do it to the other. Since a square and the square root are opposites, they cancel each other, so the r will fall down all alone. I can't do anything with this side, so that drops down exactly as I see it. Okay, on 7, we want c by itself, which means we have to get rid of that s. Well, to do the opposite, that's a minus s, so I add s to both sides. My s's cancel, so c falls down by itself. I can't really add m and s together to get anything else, so I'm just going to put them side by side. M plus s. Okay, now we want to get v by itself. So to get v by itself, I have to get rid of the m, but right now I notice that this is a fraction and v is on the bottom part of the fraction. So the first thing I want to do is make this not a fraction by getting rid of the bottom part. To get rid of a divide by v, I'm going to multiply by v. What you do on one side, you do on the other. Okay, v times d, when you multiply letters, you just put them together. All right, but you want them in alphabetical order. This times v and divide by v cancel, so my m drops down. So remember, we're trying to get v by itself. So now that it's off the bottom, I need to get d away from it. Touching means multiply, so I'm going to divide to do the opposite. D's cancel, so v drops down. I can't do anything on this side, so m divided by d drops. V is by itself, so I'm done. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of multi-step problems. We're trying to get h by itself. So if I want h by itself, I have to get rid of my 1/2 and the b. So let's get rid of the fraction first. Remember, to get rid of a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. Do it to both sides. 2 over 1 is just 2, right? So 2 divided by 1 is just 2. So 2 times a is 2a. A fraction and its reciprocal cancel, so bh falls down. So if I want h by itself, now I only have to get rid of the b. These are touching, which means multiply, so I need to divide by b on both sides. B's cancel, so h falls down. There's nothing I can do on this side, so everything's just going to drop. Okay, on 10, if we want b by itself, I have to get rid of the 1/3 and the h, so let's get rid of that fraction first. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. 3 over 1 is just 3, so 3 times v is 3v. A fraction and its reciprocal cancel, so bh falls down. So in order to get b by itself, I just have to get rid of h. They're touching, which means multiply, so the opposite is divide. So I'm dividing by what I don't want, right? My h's cancel, so b falls down all alone. I can't do anything over here, so that's just going to drop down. Okay, we want m by itself. If I want m by itself, I have to get rid of v squared and I have to get rid of 2. Remember, if we're dealing with a fraction, we get rid of the bottom part first. So if I'm going to get rid of a divide by 2, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. 2 times k is 2k. On the other side, my 2's cancel, so m v squared drops down. If I want m by itself, I have to get rid of that v squared. They're touching, which means multiply, so I need to divide, and I divide by what I don't want. What I don't want is that v squared. My v squareds cancel, so m drops down all by itself. There's nothing I can do on this other side, so everything's just going to drop down. Okay, on number 12, we're trying to get b by itself. So if I want b by itself, I have to get rid of c and d. Remember, if we're dealing with a fraction, we get rid of that fraction first. And in order to get rid of a divide by d, I'm going to multiply by d. What I do on one side, I do on the other. Remember, when you multiply letters together, you just stick them together, but you want to put them in alphabetical order, so that's going to be A, D. D's cancel on the other side, so B plus C falls down. So the only thing left to get rid of is that plus C. Opposite of a plus C is a minus C. So B drops down all by itself. I can't really take an AD and subtract a C to get anything else, so I'm just going to write it long ways as an AD minus C. All right, W. So if I want W by itself, I have to get rid of these two L's, and I have to get rid of this 2. So remember, we always want to get rid of the constant term by itself. That's what's by itself. So this 2L, that's a positive 2L, so I need to subtract 2L. What I do on one side, I do on the other. These 2 L's cancel, so my 2W drops down. P minus 2L, I'm just going to write long ways. All right, W is almost by itself. Let's get rid of that 2. It's touching, which means multiply, so the opposite is divide. My 2's cancel, so W falls down all by itself. There's nothing I can simplify on this other side, so everything's going to drop. All right, let's get Y by itself. So if I want Y by itself, I need to get rid of the AX and the B. So let's get rid of that AX first. It's a positive AX, so I'm going to take away an AX. What I do on one side, I do on the other. AX cancels, so BY drops down. C minus AX, I'm going to write long ways. So one last thing to get rid of is that B. They're touching, which means multiply, so I'm going to divide by B on both sides. My B's cancel, so Y can fall down by itself. There's nothing I can simplify on this right side, so it's going to drop down exactly as we see it. All right, almost there. Okay, we're going to solve for x. So if I want x by itself, I need to get rid of the m and the b. So we're going to get rid of this plus b all by itself first. So the opposite of a plus b is a minus b. Do it to both sides. So y minus b, I'm going to write long ways. On the other side, b's cancel, so mx falls down. So to get x by itself, I need to get rid of the m. They're multiplying, so I need to do the opposite, which is divide. I can't simplify anything on this side, so I'm going to drop everything down exactly as I see it. But on the right-hand side, my m's cancel, so x falls down. Okay, let's see. Let's skip 16 and 17. I want y'all to try those on your own, just to attempt them. If you don't know how to do them and you get stuck, you can always ask me tomorrow in class, or I guess Monday. All right, on this one, we want to get B1 by itself. So the first thing I know I want to get rid of is the stuff out front. So I'm going to get rid of the 1/2 first because it's a fraction. To get rid of a 1/2, we multiply by the reciprocal. 2 over 1 is just 2. So 2 times a is 2a. A fraction and its reciprocal cancel, so all this other stuff is going to fall down. So h times b1 plus b2. All right, next I want to get rid of this h that's out front. Remember, parentheses means to multiply, so this is saying h times all of this. So the opposite of times is divide, so I'm going to divide by h. I can't simplify this, so it's going to drop down, 2a over h. On the other side, h's cancel, so my b1 plus b2 will drop down. All right, so now the only thing I have left is to get rid of this b squared. To get rid of not b squared, sorry, b2. To get rid of a plus b2, I need to subtract b2. What I do on one side, I do on the other. On this side, I can't simplify it, so I'm just going to write everything long ways. So 2a over h minus b2. On the other side, b2's cancel, so b1 falls down all by itself, and we are done. All right, that's it. So make sure you finish those 2 problems that we skipped, and ask questions about them in class if you have questions. All right, bye guys.